Sometimes it feels like I'm not dropping in to question 4 as much as I'd like to. And I may start judging my answers as being kind of trivial or trite or kind of always the same. Oh, who would I be? I'd be peaceful. And it becomes almost cliche or not really touching me when I do the work. Question 4 is a very powerful question, and it requires sitting in that question in a way that connects to what's real inside. If I just do lip service to question 4, I may look like I'm doing the work, but it doesn't feel like I'm doing the work. And then when I go on to do the turnarounds, I may even start beating myself up because I haven't really dropped into my experience. So here are a few tips to drop in a little bit more when working with question 4. One thing you can always start with is you can actually stop and do the work on your judgment about your answers. Maybe you judge that your answer is trite. Maybe you think it's not really, it's just cliche or something. You can actually write that down, like stop doing the work and go here and do a little work on your own judgment of yourself. So my answer is trite. Is it true? And can I absolutely know it's true? It's trite. Maybe it's not trite. Maybe it's just that I'm not allowing it to touch me, but the answer itself is actually quite profound. So you can start out with just doing a little work on your own self-judgments about your answers to question 4. But a big point of resistance for question 4 is a lot of times the mind is very attached to the thought that it brings to inquiry. I really want him to change. I think it should be this way. I'm very attached to it. And so one way to sit with question 4 is to make sure I'm really clear that I don't have to give up the thought. You know, the mind resists giving up what it believes. And so if I want to force myself to give up the thought, I'm going to have a fight on my hand. I'm going to be resisting myself. I'm going to be fighting with myself. So the way around this for me is to think of question 4 as let's pretend. Let's just pretend that I don't have this thought. It's like kids, you used to play pretend. Even though you can't fly, let's play pretend that we can fly. It doesn't mean that we're losing our mind or we're giving up with reality. No, we're just pretending. So question 4 is just about who would I be without that thought? What would it be like in that same situation without the thought? I don't have to stop believing the thought. I may still believe 100% that he should change. But who would I be in that situation when he's not changing if I didn't have the thought he should change? That's it. So just pretending, just putting myself into that imaginary space and seeing what it feels like, that is what question 4 is all about. It's a very creative kind of question. It's a very exploratory kind of question. Like, who would I be? I don't know. Let me get back in there. And this brings me to another really important point. When working in question 4, what I find to be most powerful is to really put myself back in that exact situation. If I just hold it in general, like who would I be without the thought he should do it differently, I can say, yeah, peaceful, whatever. But it doesn't really connect to me. I don't really even know what I'm talking about. It's kind of a little bit like BS, actually. So what makes it real is when I put myself back into the situation. Okay, yeah, he was raising his voice. He was giving me that look, and then he was closing the door. Like, who would I be in that moment when he's raising his voice without the thought that he should change? That's really getting into the specifics. That's really holding myself to what this question is intended for. A way to re-experience the same situation, but without that particular thought. In other words, we're kind of seeing what difference does that thought make. With the thought, he should change, I'm very frustrated. And without the thought, he should change, I'm actually kind of compassionate, kind of understanding, I'm patient. You know, he gives me the look. Without the thought he should change, I just see him giving me the look. It's less personal somehow. And I feel more at ease somehow. So the more you can put yourself in the situation and actually go through those specific events that happened, replay them in your mind, but just without the thought that he should change or whatever your thought is, then you can kind of see what the difference would be. What would it be like? Kind of put yourself there and then report what it would be like. This is, again, pretending, but really specifically in that situation. And then another thing that can help is just an additional kind of sub-question that I often ask with question 4. And that would be, like, when I look at the other person without my story, what do I see? When I look at him without the thought that he should change, what do I see? This little question, what do I see, puts me in the mode of experiencing what it would be like in that situation. Oh, I start to see what's going on for him. I start to remember he didn't sleep well last night. I see that he's stressed. I get that this is a challenge for him. He's triggered. I start to feel compassion. I start to understand him more. So who would I be without the thought? Means, like, who would I be in the situation, and who would I be looking at him, really getting close to the other person without this thought that he should change or whatever the thought happens to be. So these are a few tips. They may help you. The main idea is to just be what is the word? Be as real on the one hand, like as in specific, being in the situation, like as opposed to vague. So be real, but also pretend. It's a funny combination. I should pretend that I don't have the thought, but be in the actual situation. And this combination opens up something. It's a really fascinating kind of world that you step into when you play with this. So that's my invitation. Is just play with this a little bit and see what you find. And always, if you don't find something amazing, don't worry about it. The answer for question 4 is not peace. You don't have to feel anything. We're just exploring. We're just looking to see what it would be like. And who knows what you'll find.